Rosberg is a bit like a cork in a bottle there at the moment, driving the pace he's comfortable with.
Interesting point you make. Rosberg just driving, his race, keeping Lewis Hamilton right behind him, but exactly where he wants him to be. I can tell you there you are, Hamilton ahead of Rosberg. He's been threatening to do that for about the last 8 laps. Rosberg's been holding him up quite clearly.
Rosberg's made a mistake, or I think probably more likely he's been told, let Lewis go.
Well, here we go. We're on board with Hamilton.
Synchronised swimming.
That's a tough call to make for Mercedes.
They had to make that call. He's not got the confidence or the pace on the brake pedal. I don't know what it is, but they're handing the race to Red Bull. If they didn't do that, he might come back later on. But that was a no-brainer team decision.
Have a set of intermediate tyres going on to one of the Mercedes cars, and it's not going to be Lewis Hamilton. It's going to be Nico Rosberg who will get the first choice on strategy. He started ahead of his teammate. Maybe that is the quid pro quo for letting Hamilton pass and releasing him to go after Ricciardo. Rosberg still gets first call on strategy, and away he goes. But
I'd be surprised if he got first call on that, Crofty, whether Lewis is not calling for them at the moment.
Yeah.
Whether they're covering off other people that Rosberg has been in trouble with recently in terms of pace. But Hamilton, as the leading of the two cars, surely had first call on that.
Well, he should, but if he was let go by the team, if the team said, look, Nico, let him go past, maybe that was the arrangement that went on there. We'll find out after the race. We'll send Ted down to Toto Wolff to have a chat about that one.
Hamilton has to gamble both in championship terms and the way that Rosberg, who by the way had brake problems, that's what the Mercedes team are telling us, that was the reason why he was going so slow. I'm not sure how that figures out, but that's what they're telling us. There is a polite ripple of applause for Nico Rosberg, because do you know what? Rosberg actually made this race for Mercedes today. Rosberg, in moving over for Lewis Hamilton, made sure, gave Mercedes the opportunity to win this race. Yes, Mercedes needed Red Bull to have a shocker in the pits, but Nico, by moving across, and I'm sure he didn't want to do it, meant that Hamilton could actually make up the time and do what he did strategically on Ricciardo.
We had a really aggressive strategy, which we discussed for a long time up there, because we had a buffer of about 10 seconds to Nico. It was 28 in total, so we had 10 to eat up, and we gambled, and the gamble worked. And then obviously the mishap of the Red Bull boys, and I'm sorry, you never want this to happen to anybody, and Lewis's superb drive gave us the win.
Apologies if you just said this, but Rosberg's issues was it brake cooling? He was having a few issues with that, was it?
Yeah, on both cars we lacked the pace. We didn't get the temperature into the window that we needed, and every time the race restarted, you saw that we were not having the pace of Ricciardo, and Nico, it looked like, suffered more from that than Lewis.
What about the pass when Nico actually let Lewis pass? Was that Nico's decision to do that?
No, we spoke to him. Paddy spoke to him. Very much a great team play from Nico, because he saw that he was lacking pace more than usual. It was he was holding him up very badly, and he let him by. And really, if I would have Nicky's head, I would take it off.
Difficult day. Just tell us how that got away from you today.
Yeah, definitely baffled by that lack of pace initially. Also, just felt completely, like, I don't know how you call it, but just no confidence in the car in the beginning on those intermediates. And after that, and then just didn't go my way in the pit stops. We had an issue at the pit stop, and then as a result of the issue, the pit stop was delayed, and then got traffic, so I had to hold the pit stop even more, and then cars just went by, and I couldn't. That's it. Once you're behind in Monaco, and that's it.
We heard Toto say just now that there was some good team play from you to let Lewis pass at the point you did in the race. Is that when you started to feel it falling away from you?
No, it was pretty simple at the time. I was very far off the pace, and Lewis still had a chance to win the race quite clearly, as he did then. And so it was quite straightforward then from the team that give the other guy a chance to win the race. It's always been like that, and so that was quite simple, of course painful, but quite simple decision at the time.
Lewis has closed the gap here with that win, but back fighting in Canada. You'll be back on form, back confident again, do you think?
At the moment, just disappointed with today. and not looking at a gap, not before this weekend, not after this weekend, you know, because I'm just disappointed. Wanted to win this weekend. I wanted to win my home race, and didn't manage that, so that's it.
Problems or not, how seminal a moment do you think, in hindsight, we might be looking back on that pass up the hill in the team order in the context of the season? What's that going to do for Rosberg's confidence?
You know, you have to sort of feel like normal service has been resumed. I mean, in a really tricky race, the cream rises to the top, doesn't it? And you know, Lewis Hamilton winning in those conditions, it sort of sounds right. And I have to say that Nico looked like he was sinking like a stone during that race. For whatever reason, it wasn't going well, and it may well be a big turning point. It was quite a big points loss to Lewis in one go, plus all the prestige that goes with it, and what a fantastic drive Lewis had.
Yeah, we're talking of only one race where it's gone wrong for him, so I think at the end of the day he's still going to have all the positives that he's had so far this year. Lewis, yes, it's something he's been fighting for, but he's the one who's had all the issues but has fought back. But Nico will be as strong as he always is.
Nico, when you rang up in the race and asked about maybe having the team flip the positions, was that something that again was lightly spoken about before the race? If there was any tactics that Lewis displayed like that, there would be, it could be a flip, or was it something you just tried on and thought? What was your idea with that?
It was sort of my shout of desperation. We did it in Monaco, you know, so I also started that conversation saying, I know this is going to sound very stupid. Yeah. I said that on the radio. I know this is going to be very stupid, but if there's any chance, do consider the option, you know, to make sure that the team wins the race, to switch us around. But of course, I knew that was never going to happen. Yeah. But in a moment of desperation.
But I think that it needs a little bit of context. When we invented the spirit in which we go racing, and we reshaped at every beginning of the season, the most important is to win the race. And Nico gave up his position in Monaco, and Lewis went on to win the race, because on that day his car wasn't the fastest. I remember Lewis saying after the race what a gentleman Nico was in really doing that and respecting that. Now fast forward into the last race. We've talked about it in the strategy meeting in the morning, about the various ways of fighting. There was never a discussion around punching anybody up. It was about how can we win that race, because we think that the Red Bulls and the Ferraris are at risk. That was maybe a point of view which was not realistic, but we never at any moment had a doubt that it would go in this direction. And I think if you listen to Nico, a call that might sound naive wasn't at all naive, because it is what we discussed in the morning. So it didn't come into our mind that he wouldn't be following what we discussed in the morning. And from then on, we had a chain reaction of things which in hindsight we could have done better.
Yeah, and then I think this is where we had to play as a team. So the team, our general thinking is, you know, if there's, the goal is for at least one of the cars to win the race.
Yeah.
But I was behind Nico and he was struggling, so he let me by when the team asked him to.